Hi, welcome back to Lakeside Farm. Everyone talks about goat miscarriages, but for me, it's something that I'm going to talk about out of experience. Like I told you, for me, I talk about things that go on happening to us. Different people keep talking about not moving pregnant goats. Yeah, and we did that exact mistake because we had some goats that hadn't yet given birth, and we had to move them over to this side because we were facing a lot of pressure the other side. The goats were growing in number, the land was small. We could not keep up with everything. So out of the pressure, we said, no, you know what, let's just take our chances and move these goats. But what happened is we got here, the goats showed us that they were actually okay with the movement, they were not that stressed. But as time came for them to start giving birth, we started experiencing that horrible event where each goat now started giving birth to kids. They were either alive or already dead. But even those that gave birth, those that were alive, were very weak. And in the end, we lost them. So we try to now consult different people on how we can mitigate this, but the damage was already done. We had moved pregnant goats. One thing we have discovered with goats, that goats are very sensitive animals. Any slight stress, any slight change in the environment can cause them to miscarry. And one of the things that actually happened is that we packed them on a truck. Yes, the truck was big. They didn't suffer much because actually we moved very early in the morning. We set off from Mokono 3 a.m. in the morning and got here at around 9:30 during daytime. But they showed us that they were fine, but eventually it happened. And on trying to consult, we were also told that change of environment is very key in goats. So even if we hadn't put them on a truck to bring them here and we just moved them from one place to another or from one house to another, they would definitely miscarry. So one mistake that you can do and will cause your goats to miscarry is changing the environment when they are heavily pregnant. One other thing is the environment we were coming to was a little bit hotter than where we were. Where we were was by the lakeside, and definitely lakesides are cooler. The environment was always green, the weather was always calm, and now we came over to this place and the temperatures are higher here. So these goats faced a different kind of temperature and they got stressed by that. And to make matters worse, water was not so accessible here, but well, now we have a water source where we get water from, but the goats got dehydrated. And because of that, it also contributed to their miscarrying. That is one other thing that you should be considering every time you are having pregnant goats. Make sure that your goats are not dehydrated at any one time. Provide water all the time. It doesn't matter whether the environment you are in is hot or cool. Make sure your goats have water. As long as they get dehydrated, that's enough to stress them out and they will miscarry. A lot of people ask themselves, why are my goats miscarrying? Why are my goats miscarrying? But these little things that we do not consider as very important are some of the things that will make your goats to miscarry. So do not let your goats be dehydrated. Always ensure that you give them water all the time. If you can and you have containers where they drink from or troughs where they drink from, provide the water at all times so that whenever they want, they can just access it. A goat house is a very important thing. And by goat house, I don't mean fancy things or what, but I mean something spacious. I mean, we've seen a lot of people that have different kind of goat housing, those that are fancy, those that are not fancy. But as long as it has enough space, your goats will be comfortable. Well, the goat pen we built here is a little bit smaller than what we had the other side. Yes, we left a few goats the other side, but still this pen here is smaller, so it could not contain all of them. That alone was enough to cause them the stress, because every night they would enter, they were always butting into each other, and that little stampede also caused them stress. When you are building a goat's house, always try to provide enough space. If you can give a goat at least 2 by 2 meters by itself, that's enough space for each goat to be comfortable and they won't get stressed. But if you build a goat pen where your goats do not have even 1 meter to themselves, definitely the stress is going to be there, because goats like to be free. Goats like to explore. They like to stretch their legs and exercise. So if you don't give them enough space inside the pen, they will definitely butt into each other, and in the end, they will miscarry. So that is also one other thing that you have to consider when you are starting goat farming or when you are doing goat farming. Give them enough space in their houses. Ensure that each goat can have 2 by 2 meters on its own, where no other goat is going to invade that space. There you will be able to ensure that your goats do not miscarry. Ensuring that the nutrition is good also helps, because when they give birth and they've been on a good nutrition, they will have a lot of milk, and the babies will also be able to grow very fast compared to those kids that do not have a lot of milk. Those are some of the things that you can consider if you don't want your goats to miscarry. Ensure that they are in a good environment. Ensure that they have enough space where they stay. Ensure that you give them water all the time, not to get dehydrated. Handle them very well, not to cause them stress. Whatever you do, do not transport or move pregnant goats from one place to another. Yes, this keeps happening, but like I told you, farming is all about learning. Most of our goats had given birth before we came here, so we had about 15 that had not yet given birth, and all those were lost. Yes, all those were lost. So that is very, very important to consider if you plan on transporting goats. For those of you who are going to buy goats, do not buy pregnant goats and transport them. Either you leave it where you bought it until it gives birth, or don't buy pregnant goats at all. Lastly, I know this is not all about it that can cause goats to miscarry, but what I can give you lastly here is how you handle goats. When goats are pregnant, like I've told you, they are very, very sensitive. So ensure that when you're handling them, moving them from one place to another, or the things that you do around when you're giving them water, do not push them around, do not shout at them, because they are very, very sensitive animals. That little simple stress will cause them to miscarry. So ensure that you handle them very, very well and gently, because what we did here when we brought them here, we made a mistake. We should have given them multivitamins when we were still the other side. But the mistake we made is we gave them the multivitamins when we got here. That means you are handling them, you are injecting them, you are pulling them from here to there, and just that stress of handling them caused them to miscarry. Those are things that we've been analyzing over time. That's all we have for you this time. Until next time, see you then.